the stuff of justice. If it's just justice, it's just your career move. Nice little rhetoric that helps you get some position within the empire, within the capitalist hierarchy, so things become more colorful at the top, but the people still suffering on the bottom. Where's your care and concern? Brother Mark and I talk about that all the time. The wretched of the earth that the great Frantz Fanon talked about. That's the stuff of justice. That's one of the reasons why even the blind metaphor of justice within the liberal discourse I've always had a little problem with. I've always had problem with. You know, there's a wonderful letter that the great Henry James wrote to the less great Robert Louis Stevenson. And Stevenson's a great writer, but he ain't no Henry James, let's just be honest. No, that's Kenny G versus Coltrane, but let's be honest here. But Henry James writes, he says, no theory is kind to us that cheats us of seeing. No theory is kind to us that cheats us of seeing. So if you have a framework that is so narrow, all you can see is just what you see through your lens, then it's cheating you of seeing something broader. And the same would be true in terms of hearing. If you're not hearing the cries of folk in the prisons and hearing the cries of the white brothers and sisters living in Appalachia, hearing the cries of landless peasants in Brazil, or hearing the cries of gypsies, so-called gypsies and Roma folk in Europe, hearing anybody's cry is too narrow. And then feeling genuine compassion and solidarity. And then most importantly, acting. Now we know, and one of the reasons why the jazz tradition and the blues is in many ways based on Socrates, but goes far beyond Socrates, is because you all know that Socrates never wrote a word, so we don't want to promote that at the law school here. You got to write your papers and things. But, well, Jesus never writes either, and I would hope you'd be more like Jesus, but that's just my evangelical moment. But Socrates, he never sheds a tear, he never cries. And something's wrong with somebody who goes through life and never sheds a tear. It means you never loved anybody. It's like Hamlet. So sophisticated philosophically. But he suffers from the incapacity to love. Even the friendship of Horatio, you wonder how deep it cuts. You know he doesn't love Ophelia. But he's the greatest literary character in the history of modern Europe with the inimitable Shakespeare. Socrates, did you really ever love somebody? Xanthippe's wife has tears when she comes to see Socrates. You all remember that. And what does he say? Somebody take her out. Somebody get her out of here. She can't take it. Socrates, she loves you, man. She don't need to ask for your permission. Cry, Xanthippe. No, get her out of here. What's wrong with you, Socrates? You need a little prophetic legacy of Jerusalem, don't you? You need those cries of affliction of an enslaved people. You need a Jesus who weeps. You need a Muhammad who's called for mercy with tears flowing inside. Something about the tears, that's blues. Right? That's the blues. Catastrophe lyrically expressed, unleashing, questioning, strange fruit, Billie Holiday with the Jewish brother Maripol right in the lyrics. What is that? That's American terrorism. That's lynching. Does that require tears? It might, but it also requires Socratic reflection. What kind of